Okay, so now let's modify our fruits text, and and we'll do something a little bit more fun with that fruits. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, okay, we'll just continue here. I want to add something to this fruits here while we add it here. What did I do with the query? Okay, right here. So I'm gonna turn this back on. Okay, we'll need that, and then we'll also turn this back here. Well, for now, okay. So why don't we go ahead and then work with the other object, which is go back to the design mode, and we'll add the combo box right down here. Up here, right? Combo box, and drag it and put it inside your form here. You can modify your form to make it have more room. I'm gonna move this to the left here. The combo box is here. Okay, and so let's give this combo box a name, just like we give it a name for the other one. Combo box will be like I think CBO, that prefix. Is it CMB? I don't know. CBO. I'll use CBO. It doesn't matter which one you use. So just so I know. And then I'll just call this fruits also. And I'll modify the text font size to also 20, just to make sure it matches that. Okay, so let's talk about the combo box for a minute here. A combo box is typically what you call a drop-down box, right? That's all it is. A list box is you have a list of items, and if you maximize, if you reach the end of that max height, then you're going to have automatically the scroll bar is going to be generated here for you. Okay, if you max out the the length, you also have the scroll bar to scroll as well. So the combo box, you have three types. At the simple type, and you have the drop-down type, and there's another type, I forgot what it's called. It's over here somewhere. There are three types of combo box. So right here, if you select the combo, and if you go to the drop-down style, okay, you have three options in here. The drop-down list here, right? They have the simple, drop-down, and drop-down list. Okay, so let's just say we create the first one here. We call it simple type. We will select that to be a simple type. If you notice, it changes the layout of that combo box. And why don't we just copy this one here? You can do Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to paste it. We'll just select and then Ctrl+drag and put it over here on the right side. And do one more time. And we use three different combo boxes in here. So the first one is simple. The second one, let's give that a name. It'll be just CBO. I think it's CMB. I just don't like CBO. This is like, we'll call this fruits 2. And the third one, just fruits 3. I think it's CMB, but I should call it fruits CBO 3. So the third one here, let's change that to a drop-down list type for the style. Okay, as you notice, it changes the layout, the GUI. And then the middle one will change that to just the drop-down. So the default is the drop-down. If you don't specify, if you drag and drop it, put it here, you get this default, which is the drop-down list. Put a drop-down box here. So just to see what it looks like, you can go into one of these and click the little arrow here and go edit items. Or if you go here and click the collection here, something like as you do with your list box, right? Same thing. And collection, and then click this little ellipsis, and you can have this window here to put some stuff in there. So you could add the same, content. Let's just say, what do I say? All cows eat grass. Okay. So here I have that added. Okay, so again, you can just do that. And let me just copy this and put it into the other ones as well. So you go over here, the third one, edit items, just paste it in there. And then the same thing with the first one, edit items, paste it in there. So you see 3 different combo boxes. And you can change the layout too, the style a little bit. So if you, for example, this one here in the middle, if you click somewhere up here, like the flat style, right? I mean, play with this when you have time. It's kind of fun. And this is a standard. So if you put, like, for example, the pop-up, notice that the layout looks a little bit different. I mean, just for formatting purposes. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. Okay, so once we have those data in there, why don't we just run this and see what they look like. All right, so you see that, of course, once we click this, it populates our list box, but these are already pre-populated because we put that in there, right? So you can see that you can drop down, you can click the drop down, select. This one you don't see it, right? So usually this one and this two here, the simple and the drop down here, you can type in here and it should select whatever it is down here. So notice if I click like grass, right? If I hit enter, or if you just click the drop down, it will select grass right away, right? If it's in there. If you put something like extra S, then it's not there, so therefore it's not highlighted, right? So that's the thing with this drop down box. Or if you just drop down and select that, if you select it, it will show up here in the box here. It's like a text box with a list. And this one here, it doesn't allow you to type. You cannot change the content here. You cannot do any searching. So for a search box, it will be something like this, or the drop down, like a Google search box. Okay. But of course, when you select it, then that is the selected item. Same thing here. If I select cows, that's the value. And it's the same thing as if I click banana. So whatever is highlighted here, I can access the content by going to, like, in this example, would be like, LST fruits dot text will give you that option. Same thing here. If I go, CBO, fruits to dot or text will give me the word cows, right? So they have very similar methods inside the list box in your combo boxes. For this one to show, though, this is simple, so what that means, you have to expand this in the design. So if you close this and go here, okay, if you go here, and then if you drag this down, you'll see it, right? So here they are. That's why it's simple, right? It looks very similar to a list box now. So you have to visibly display everything there in order for the users to see them. Otherwise, they can't see them. Once you do that, this one here you can't, right? This two you can't, automatic. This one you have to manually display the height of that. And if you start it now, you see that it's there. And now I can select. Okay, I can also type in here. If I put grass, right, it selects that. I type, all, and then it selects that for me. Hit enter. This one you can see it. This one you don't until you click the drop down and so on. Okay, so those three are the difference between those three different types. So if you want to click, like, go and populate the same content to these 3 combo boxes, it will be very similar to the list box. It's almost exactly the same. Okay, so we can do that right now. Go back into the form, and so right in here, where I have the fruits here, the for each, I could do that. I could also now say the CBO fruits dot items dot add exactly the same. Okay, fruit. It can do the same for the CBO2. Fruits 2 dot items dot add fruit, and then CBO3, right? So it's very similar to the list box. Okay, and you save it, and if you run it, and hopefully you see that it's all populated with what we have in addition to what we already added, right? Remember, list box and combo boxes, they don't clear it because we didn't set clear the whole box, so we just append it to what we already have. So here we added the cow, all cows eat grass, and then now we have the apple, banana, and so on added to that list. Okay, so it's the same method you would add to your list box. It's a combo box. So by the same token, you can also do this as well. If you go up here, and let me turn these off. You can turn those off. Up here, if you use the select query here, right? Select query from fruit and fruits, and then we want to add the data source this way. Let me turn this back on, and you can do the same thing here. You could just basically, copy this and put it here 3 times, right? And this would be like a CBO fruits, and then fruits 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so they can also be populated this way, the same way you would do for your combo box. And let's see if this is true. Okay, let's save this and run it, and click go, and you see that they are populated, and they always select the first item by default. Right? You may or may not want that. Okay, if you don't want that, then you can force it to have like nothing. I think there's an option you can set so that it doesn't always load. So here, for example, if you don't want that first item to be selected for the list box, for example, you could do like lst fruits dot I think it's, what's it called, selected. Yeah, selected index equal nothing or something like that. I think that's the way to do it. Let's see. No. Yeah, there's another command. I forgot what it is. But you can set it so that it doesn't select that for you. Yeah. I forgot what it is. It's in the book too. But anyway, so that's how you can add data to your list box in your combo box using the same method. Yeah, I don't see it here. Current cell. Oh, okay. It's called current cell. That's what it is. Yeah. So the current cell. Wait. No, not current cell. It's a data grid. It's different. Yeah, I forgot what it is. Current cell. Okay. Well, anyways, it's a different. It's one of these. It's one of these guys that would unselect the list here. Yeah, I'll find out for you guys. Just sometimes it's nice to not select it by default. Okay, so the next part is now let's modify our fruits text file. And you can open that text file again. If you're not here, just open that text file. And let's, add a another field, and we'll put like I had mentioned before, calories, right? So we could say like this apple has 25, and then this one has what? How much for banana? I don't know, what, 50? And cherry will have maybe, let's just say 12. Dates has, let's say, 20, and then 8 fruit has 30, for example. So we have two fields. So the name of the fruit and the calories. Okay. If we know that those are what they mean, but without specifying what those numbers are, then this could be anything, right? So you have to know what those are. I'm using a comma here. We could use like the pipe symbol, okay, or we could use a semicolon. It doesn't matter. Just to separate each field, okay. So when we read this into the file, the array, it's going to look like this. So you run it now. You see that it reads the whole thing, right? The whole line. We want to separate out the apple from the calories and then add that into a different column. Okay, and so because you can't really put that in here like this way, it doesn't look nice. You want to add that into a table of some sort, right? So before we introduce the data grid view, I want to go over how you can split this into another array. Okay, so when you add the file here, bless you, you now have an array of fruits that contains exactly like you have here. Right? So the first element has apple, comma, 25. Okay, and you want to split the string, each of these strings, so that it will have its own element. So in other words, you will have there are like several ways to do it. Right? One way is, of course, you have to read it, every element, and then split it into a string using the split method, and that will also add into the array. So you could do something. Let me just do it down here. Keep that as is. So you can use this method here, right in here, for each fruit in here. So for the fruit, it will look like apple and then 25, right? So the first fruit has this content. You want to split this into an array so that this become like this. 0 has apple, right? And then the next array of 1 has 25. Okay? That's what you want to do, right? So you can say in here I want to do like, let me just turn that off for now. For each fruit, I want to do like this. I want to have let a data, this will be a string, right? Just they're all strings, equal to the fruit split. Okay, you're going to split the fruit. So to split the apple and the 25, where there is a comma, right? So that is the separator, and you want that into, is that right? Split separator character. I thought that's how you do it. Hold on. There's an example in like line split, comma C. I think that's fine, but just maybe we didn't do like selecting fruit in here. Okay, so why this is not working? That data as string. We're going to take this out. Okay, I guess it doesn't have to put that data type there. So data is, so let data equals fruit that split, and it was separate with a comma. And then now data contains, the data 0 has apple, data 1 has 25, right? And now you can say, okay, what is apple? That's the fruit, right? So you can say now let fruit maybe name or fruit type, right? You can say type. I don't know, name. Maybe name's better. Sorry. Let this be the data of 0, which is the fruit. It's different. Confused with Java. And then now you select the calories equal to the data of 1. Okay. And then finally, what do you want to return? Okay, I want to return the fruit name and the calories name. I don't care about the data and the fruit. So you can now say select the fruit name and the calories. So you're interested only in those. So when this data return, then this query contains the fruit name and the calories, and they can be accessed from the fruit parameter here. So in other words, to get the fruit name, I have to say fruit.fruit name, fruit.calories. Okay, to get those names, those data. So if I do it this way, it doesn't work anymore. It works, it'll work, but it will put into a different order. It would just put all the fruit and then the calories. I believe it's kind of not the way we want to look. So I'm just kind of curious to see what it looks like. We could run this and see what it looks like. So you can see that it has the object only, right? Fruit name is that and so forth. So you can see it's an object. It's an array of those content. So to actually get the name of the fruit, you have to specifically specify what it is you're trying to get. Okay? So this is not what we want. Once the query looks like this, then you cannot just do this. Right? So this one here doesn't work for list box. So let me just turn this off for now. And to add that to the list box, you will have to go and then go into the query. Let's see. See fruits here. Got that. The query, because once you get the query, it's an object of that type. Let's see how to access that one. I think you have to do like, you can still use the loop here like we did in here. So you can say for each fruit will still be the same in the string in no, just say fruit in the query. Okay. So this fruit here points to the query. The query contains the fruit and the calories. So now you have to do like this. You can say again, list box. And let's see, fruits dot items dot add. Same thing. I'm adding now the fruit dot. You can see that it has the calories and the name. Okay, so I put fruit name. Now it's going to grab the name apple and add it to the list. Okay, so this is an object now. So the fruit is an object that contains the fruit name and the calories. So these become properties of the fruit. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky when you have multiple fields in your text box. So the process of going and splitting that into a different array is you have to go through this process. Okay, very similar. Either do the query this way. If you don't want to do this way, you can do a different way as well. You just say, you know, for each array you would split it into a separate array, and then and do it that way, which is fine too. I'll show you the other way. but this is the preferred method because it's much shorter. So now I can add the fruit name here to the list box. So I mean, if I just do run this, you see that I'm just basically adding the fruit back to the list box. Okay, I'm not doing the other three here. So you get the fruit out of that because I'm adding only the fruit name. If you also want to include the calories, you can say something like fruit name here, and then you have the plus, right? Or the ampersand and space, and then we put a space here or something, and then, you know, ampersand, and then fruit that calories. Okay, so now you can see that you have added both the fruit name and then maybe we'll put a comma, a dash here, no, and the calories. And this one here is just the com. It should look like that. So I have both different objects, I mean different properties of the fruit. And if you run it now, of course it will look very similar to what you saw, except without a comma, right? Because now it's adding to a list box. And if you want to format it differently, then that's fine. Okay, so once you do it this way, you split it into its own property, and you can access it by using the fruit dot something in this way. This is one way. And so this example here is not really useful for a list box. What you want to do is you want to put this into a table, right? So to a table is the way to go. And we'll do that in a minute here. I want to show you also how you can convert this into you know, another array using this different method here. So like up here, when we have the array, same thing here, right? You have the array of fruits. Fruits have, you know, this. So you can do the same thing. You can say you have to do the same thing, but you have to use a loop though, right? Loop through the entire array, and then each fruit of I, it will split that, same thing. You still have to split it, okay? And then add it into the another array. So no matter what, you still have to split it. So this is the shorter way, and also the preferred way. So I'm not gonna do the other one. It takes too long to do it. And then when you add it to the combo box, you do the same thing, like CBO fruits dot items dot add, and then fruit name. So this now leads me to add another item control, and we're going to go and add a control called the grid view. That is a table which is more useful for something that is that has two or more row columns. Single column data you can put into a list box, combo box, really nice. But anything that has more than two columns, you want to use a data grid. So if under the data, the option down here is the data grid view. Okay, you can grab that and put it in here. And let me just put this over here so we have room. Maybe down here somewhere. So the data grid view, as you can see, looks like that. It's grayed out. And if you were to expand this like a little bit like this, okay. And when you format this, it's very similar, just like you do with the other ones. You give it a name, you click that object, you go to the name, and then data grid view, we just DGV for the prefix, and we'll call this again just fruits, DGV fruits. You can also change the so the font size, things like that is a little bit different now because it has a table of data. So if you look in here, you see that there's no font, right? Like we saw for this guys. These we have the font. You can easily modify the font and stuff in here. For this one, if you want to change it, you have to go into I think there's like the size, like the row template here, and then inside here you can have the height, and then so the modification is a little bit different. So the size, height, and width of this box here even I don't remember where it is, but I know that you can set the size in here, maybe up here. The little arrow here, and you can edit the columns here, and then now you can add additional columns if you want. I just want to show you what it looks like. So you put that here, just run it. You can see what it looks like. Okay, there's nothing there, right? So it looks exactly like what you saw there. So now when you click go, I want to populate the data over to the data grid view instead of something like this, because this is not useful. Okay, so let's go into our code and just make one modification, and that should work. So this is for the list boxes. Again, it's not very useful, but that's how you would do it, right? Now for the data grid view, you would do something very similar to this line here. Okay, but I'm going to go here and say the DGV fruits dot data source, okay, data source here, equal to the query dot to list again. And let's see what that does to our data grid. Okay, I'm using this query because it's coming from here, pulling the data from here. And if you click start and run and click go, you'll see that it adds that for us. Right, it populates that table for us. It knows that the fruit name is the actual variable name that we use, because we call it in here the fruit name and the calories. Okay, these two are pre-populated with the title here, and then the data are added here, which in each row and each record are nicely added in here. So now we have a better table. And of course you can modify the list here to change the font size inside the combo, the digital the DGV box here. But for now, so that's why this is a way better way to show data than this over here, right? It's not nice. So now that you know, you can go back and say, aha, you can go back and then write your other applications using the data grid view. Remember we did that rental applications, where you have to do all this formatting, make it look nice and so on. You could do that now using the data grid view, right? If you were to modify that. Okay, so the fruit name and calories name, you know, these names are like that. If you don't like it, you can also change them. Or you can even hide them too, so they don't show up. Okay? So let's see if I remember how to change them. Data fruits that columns column headers visible. You can set that to if you put false, right? If you do that, then you'll see that there's no heading. There's no fruit name and calories, so you can hide those. You can do that here in the code, or you can do it in the GUI interface here. You can go here, click that, and the properties. You see that you have those options to hide them as well. You can say column headings, the height, you can change the height. The visible here is true by default. You can change it to false if you want, right? So you have all these options to design those. Or you can change it, you know, that programmatically in the code. The column name, I know you can change that to something else if you don't like it. I think I have it in my notes somewhere too, but you can change those to something else. So let's see, we got that. That is false. Let's see. Head calling just columns, yeah, I think columns, and then you give it the name of that column, which is called fruit name, dot header text. So many, just say fruit. Let's see if that's right. I don't remember. Let's see what that does. Okay, yeah, so it changes that to instead of fruit name, you change it to fruit, and you give it a different name. So you replace the columns called fruit name. This is this guy right here, okay? Because variable name, you cannot put spaces in here, right? So you can't do that. But you could say here, for example, fruit name, right? You can format this heading to something like you like. And then you can do the same thing with the other column if you want, because it's a lower C. You can do like calories, and then change that to maybe just total, or just cal or something like that, right? And so you have some flexibility to format your tables. Okay, I'm pretty sure you can also change the color background, change the font, and change the text color, all those stuff too, if you want to beautify your data grid. And these will automatically generate for you. If you have like 10 columns, you will see 10 columns here. Okay, automatically generated, which is pretty nice. Of course, it doesn't mean that you have to have 2 columns to do it. You could still just do one, and it should still be fine. You should still use that as well with your fruits. If you have just a fruit name and then the name of the fruit, you can still generate a single column table, which is okay too. Okay. So those are the two new controls, the ComboBox and the DataGrid. Very useful for creating tables for this one here. So good for drop down. To grab the content, when I click cows or all and then select those, you just basically use the LST fruits.text or the CBO fruits.text, and you get the current selection. Okay, what that means is that, for example, if I go here and let's just say you add a label right down here somewhere, and you can style the label there, you give it a name, LBL output or selection, okay, and you can do like font size 20. So this label will store whatever I select items I put here. I select here. So now I can go into the code. Well, you can do an event when you click anything here or here or here or here, and it can change the content, or you can get the selection and add it to the label here. So in other words, if I can go here and double click this, right? So you have a new subroutine for the label, and it handles the selected index change. That means when I make a selection, it's going to call this method and will do something, right? So here I can say now the label output.text should contain this label fruits, right? .text, whatever the current text is may be. So for example, if I do that here, now that label, the list box has some action. So if I click Apple, you see that it adds that here, right? So it's just the .text, and that will show you that information there. You can select that way. Same thing with the other ones. Like if you double click here, and if we just to add that in here, okay, but you want to get it from the fruits, the CBO fruits, not the label LST fruits. Put that in here. The CBO fruits.text, and you can do the same thing with the other ones too, like this one here. Okay, so same thing. You can do the output is equal to the CBO fruits3.text, right? And you can do the same thing with this one, but I'm going to show just those two. So you start, and here we go. Click, and here we are: banana, fruit, cherry, grass, right? Eat, cows, all. And here, if I select cows, right, you can see that it's automatically, update the text in here in the label. Okay, so you get those data by basically whatever is type here. So if I put, like, for example, cow code, right, it's not on the list, so it doesn't go there. So it has to be on the list here. And if I type in, like, say, eat, hit enter, select it, right? Okay, so you select it same way. What's next? We got the data grid. We have the splitting the strings. Okay, so the next topic, we're going to read the files, but now we're going to read it line by line. Okay, so instead of reading all at once like we did here, we're going to read it using the string reader and string writer to read and write data to the file and read from the file one line at a time. Okay, so let me save this, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll do that second part.